Since 2012, the United Nations has sent out the World Happiness Report, measuring scores of happiness worldwide of countries that have chosen to participate. The goal being to strive towards happiness. Looking at how people in other countries live their lives can be quite a revelation, especially when you look at how happy each country is collectively. Even though happiness can be accomplished in several ways, you can calculate a combined area of happiness. This is an interesting concept, making you think about how people measure overall their happiness. We have agreed to work with the UN to develop an app that will help construct public policies. This app shines a light on main indicators contributing to countries' happiness. This app also uses descriptive statistics to show correlations score through the years for multiple countries. We recognize that some constraints exist when trying to apply solutions, as each country has a specific budget, cultural norms, and it might not be easy to increase freedom of making decisions. The first tab of our app is the world map. You are able to select an indicator and a year. This allows you to see visually the groupings of scores throughout the map. The indicators that you can select are the overall life ladder score, rank, economy or GDP per capita, family or social support, health or life expectancy, freedom or freedom of making life choices, trust or perception of corruption, and generosity, for example, recently donating to charities. You will notice that as you hover over each indicator, we have designed them to have the same descriptions. This gives a user a quick reference to each of the icons. Please note as you select different indicators that some countries appear to be missing. These are countries that do not have any data for that indicator or year. For example, economy. If you select economy and you scroll through the years, there are some countries that are missing data, but others are grouped together for their scores. Same with generosity, freedom, health, family, and social support.
In addition to the map view, this app lets you select the country of interest and provides happiness statistics throughout the year. We can follow population sentiments as trends throughout the years and by various indicators. For example, we can see that Angola's rating has gone down from 4.03 in 2015 to 3.79 in 2018. We can attribute this change to several factors, including health, freedom, generosity, and family. The government of Angola might look into assessment of freedom to make life choices and autonomy its citizens have, because the latest score was 0. We find, for example, that Angolan state owns most media in the country, and although constitution guarantees religious freedom, the government imposes very onerous criteria on religious group for official recognition, like there is no registered Muslim groups. Government in Angola also monitors internet activity. On the other hand, if we take a look at a highly ranked country like Netherlands, we can see their freedom score is 0.65, which is really high. However, their perception of health has gone down in 2021. In 2020 it was 0.98 and 2021 it's 0.75. Dutch government might ask themselves whether this is attributed to COVID-19 or there is another reason. Let's take a look at Compare tab. This graph is a correlation matrix. It gives you a graphic representation of correlations between the various indicators. We're mostly interested in correlation between the score and the various indicators right here. For example, if you take a look at generosity versus score, you can see the correlation was much smaller in 2021 than it was in 2015. In 2021, we also noticed that health versus score has a tighter correlation as the purple color becomes darker in 2021. Let's take a look at the happiest countries. Also, this is top 5 countries averages from 2015 to 2021. We can see that these countries, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, they're all Northern European countries. We can see that economy, family, and health play the most important role in the composition of the score. It's the same thing that we saw in the correlation matrix. Economy, family, and health are tied to the score the most, as they are appearing in a darker purple color. If we take a look at the bottom 5 countries, though, we can notice something interesting, like the composition of freedom in Rwanda and Central African Republic is much more important much more correlated to the score.
So if you're watching this video, you're likely one of your country's happiness experts, or a happiness expert for the UN who focuses on different countries around the world. And you've likely delved into the World Happiness Report and read through the text and become familiar with the numbers and figures. So we have a nice prediction tool in our app that will really interest you. You can choose any country you want, let's say Albania, and it will show you on these sliders, it will show you what each of their scores in each of the different categories is. And then down at the bottom, it will give you your country's most recent score, as well as a predicted score based on a model that we developed as a team. And you can adjust each of these sliders, and it will change the predicted score at the bottom, so you can get a good idea of how your country's happiness might change based on, let's say, an increase in your economy or an increase in your country's life expectancy. So if we increase the life expectancy a bit, maybe, Albania, you can see it rising down there on the bottom. And as I said, you can just change any country you want. Here's Oman. And you can also search for a country. Let's go with Finland, our overall number 1. And that really helps you to determine how you can increase your country's happiness. And diving a little deeper into it, we have provided our model itself. We have a graph of it with the country's actual scores down the bottom and the scores predicted by our model on the y-axis. We plotted it out. You can see it fit pretty nicely. We have our correlation up here at the top. That means that it has a nice, a strong correlation between the actual score and the predicted score, so our model is performing pretty well. Down on the bottom, we have some even deeper statistics showing that our model actually performed better on the test set, where we tested how it performed. It performed better on that set than on the train set, which is how we set it up and trained our model to predict values. So that means that we're not too focused on those few numbers before. We can actually extrapolate using our model to the world at large. And then down on the bottom right, you can see our actual model itself. It's an equation, so you can determine if our economy goes up by this amount, our total happiness will go up by a correlated amount given by the coefficients in our model. Thank you.